All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new, my name is Hannah Mandala. Please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Every single Tuesday I come with a movie review, and since it's December, I'm doing all these Christmas movies. So the Christmas movie that I am going to be talking about today is a 2019 Netflix original called Holiday in the Wild. It has Charlotte from Sex and the City and a whole bunch of actors I've never even seen before. This movie was so flippin' predictable. I would normally say like spoiler alert, but this movie in the first 5 minutes, once you start watching it, you're gonna see that you already know what's gonna happen throughout the entire movie. But what's exciting is all the things that go on in the movie, and I think it's pretty worth talking about. So make sure you stick to the end. I'm currently in my new house in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. So I'm back here. If you have been watching my channel since the beginning, you're gonna know that I have been living in Mexico for like nearly 6 months now. I work from my laptop, I live out of my backpack, and I travel the world with my partner. And I also come out with videos on Fridays where I talk about my life, and you guys get to see the travel and the love and the experiences that I get to have. So more reasons for you to subscribe. Anyways, let's dive right into this movie because there's some serious things going on that I was just so cringe throughout most of the movie. From the very beginning, you're introduced to Kate. She is very wealthy and she's living with this highly established New York businessman. She has her kid and he's going off to college, and so they're doing Christmas photos in August before he leaves for college. Whatever, the son leaves, the Kate is super sad, and then the flippin' husband is like, okay, I've been waiting for Luke, the son, to leave, but this marriage isn't working, I'm leaving, goodbye. So it's obviously very quick, very topical. I don't know, it just kind of shows like what a insensitive person or husband that he was, because like, I mean, if they were true partners, then like with her being upset, he would have like cared for her. He obviously wouldn't have left her if they were true partners as well. I really feel like, not that I've ever been married, and yes, I'm only 26 years old, but I feel like a lot of marriages don't work in the long run because they get into it for the wrong reasons in the first place, and like attachment or something. As we keep talking about this movie, you're gonna see they got into the relationship for the wrong reason and they both lost themselves. Anyway, she tries to surprise him with a trip with the second honeymoon to Africa, Zambia, and they're gonna do like this safari adventure thing for like 2 weeks. But instead, she goes by herself. Like, this is all in the first 5 minutes. And then in the first 5 minutes, we also meet this character, the love interest named Derek. Derek is portrayed to be this suave, all-knowing, yet kind of dorky dude. And I don't know, he starts talking to Kate, and Kate's just not having it because she's not happy because her life has gone up in flames. Yeah, it was very topical. Like, it wasn't really believable. It was just like they're clearly acting out a story right now, and it's not looking too good. And she is kind of really standoffish about him talking to her, and and then it's just like, okay, good night, goodbye. And then the next day when she goes out into like onto the runway, like not the modeling runway, like the airport runway, Mr. Derek, the love interest from the night before, is there. And she's like, oh, I thought this was a luxury, like only person, like, you know, that's because she's from like expensive New York City. And he's like, yeah, I'm your flight pilot. And then they're like flying, and it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. They're in Zambia, they're gonna do things. And then he like spots something down below, and then they go and they stop, and then he had spotted an elephant from up in the sky. He spotted an elephant that a dead mother and a baby. So they go and they help, and then he calls a sanctuary to come pick them up, and then it turns out that he lives and works at that sanctuary, and he just does flying to help with the funding for the sanctuary. And then Kate decides to forego to her 5-star like safari resort and instead decides to go to this safari thing. And we find out that Kate was a vet before her partner and her like got married, or her ex-partner, her ex-husband and her got married and had their son Luke. I don't know, that this really speaks to her, like not, and she was like really passionate about it. She's like, I'm a vet, I can help with this elephant, let me help, I want to do this. And it was just like, okay, girl, so you clearly have a big passion for helping animals, yet you've put that on the back burner for the past 20 years of your life to be with your husband. And I think that's a really big red flag when you stop doing what you love when you're in a relationship, because it's just signing up for disaster that you're going to lose yourself. You can't be in a relationship when you lose yourself. And so many relationships don't work. I'm not even Italian. What am I doing? But so many relationships don't even work because people get into it and they don't know who they are. They don't take the time to understand themselves. They don't take the time to explore, make mistakes. And then to know it's like, okay, it's time for me to be with my partner, or if you meet someone, whatever. Like, you never know what's going to happen. It was just so frustrating that, well, it was good. Like, this story is about her kind of finding herself. Okay. Her and Derek, of course, have this like weird love tension where he is like oddly always kind of hitting on her, but also kind of being a know-it-all. And she's like this weird, like, I just got out of divorce, but I think he likes me and I'm finding myself kind of thing. And she's like missing her son and stuff, as you would hope. Oh, and then plot twist, we meet Derek's blonde girl, like a blonde character. Blondie is introduced. This like stereotypical all blonde hair, blue-eyed female. They are clearly a thing. But we don't know too much of the details, but it's just like, oh, okay, so this is weird. What's up with, so there's Blondie in the picture. What's up with you, Derek? Like, that was going on in my head. I'm like, Derek, why are you hitting on Kate when you got Blondie? Come on, dude. There's this really interesting scene where, like, after they meet Blondie, whatever, Blondie leaves. We don't know much about Blondie, but Kate and Derek go out on the safari, and Kate is talking about how she got married, but she thought that everything would be fine after that, and that now she's on the second honeymoon by herself. And like, there's two main problems with that. It's like, one, when you marry someone and you think everything's gonna be fine after, like, you're getting married for the wrong reasons. If you think that it's gonna be a fairy tale for the rest of your life, you're wrong, because life has ups and downs. And when you're getting into the relationship from the right reason, when there's a strong foundation, then you're gonna be able to go through all those ups and downs together. I don't know, she just went into it and thought everything would be easy, and it was easy. She married a very successful New York, like, millionaire, had a beautiful apartment in, like, I don't know New York very well, but like Manhattan, the Upper East Side, I'm not too sure. And then she just like always supported her husband and stuff, like supported him through graduate school, supported him through like all of his client things. She would host dinners and she knew everything that he needed to know about all of his clients and stuff. We don't know what he does. All we know is that he has a lot of money. And that is because she decides to extend her stay in Africa. And she's just like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna come back. I'm gonna stay. And it's just like, whoa, damn girl, aren't you lucky? But I mean, if she's like been a housewife for the past 20 years from like a millionaire, I guess she can do that. What else does she say? Oh yeah, and then another reason why she extended her stay in Africa was because she's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I don't wanna go home. And it's like, well, no shit, you don't know what to do with yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore, because you've become this like, you fulfilled a role of being this like wife thing that wasn't really a wife at all, because your husband didn't love you either. And like, not saying that she's unlovable or anything, but like, if she doesn't love herself, then he's not going to be able to love her. And I mean, I feel like their relationship was problematic from the beginning, probably because she had to like let go of her passions and stuff, aka being a vet, which is pretty freaking cool. Blondie keeps popping in and out of the movie. I'm not too sure anyways, every time she shows up, it's just kind of like, Derek, stop showing interest in Kate if you're with Blondie. Or if you're with Blondie but you like Kate, you clearly got into a relationship with Blondie for the right reason, and you need to get out of that relationship. Yeah, he fails to do that because he isn't being honest with Kate. Like, he mentioned, he alludes to the fact that he's scared of like things ending or something at some point. Always hitting on Kate or whatever, and it's just like, or flirting with her, and it's just like, I don't know what the heck you've been through, dude, but you gotta figure that stuff out. And if you like Kate, then just be honest with her. The world is gonna be such an easier place, and you're gonna have much better relationships if you just tell the truth. Just be honest. So another thing that Derek does that really is kind of weird, considering he's with Blondie, is that he arranges for like a surprise visit for Kate's his name is Luke, to come to Africa. Like, Kate's super excited, he's in Africa. Like, it's at Christmas time. It's Christmas time at this point. So she went at like the end of August, September to Africa, and now it's Christmas. During the time, Kate had been like doing veterinary work for all the different animals in the sanctuary. Even though it's an elephant sanctuary, she like did She did all the things that a vet would need to do on the African safari, or the safari in Zambia. The sun comes, whatever, they're having a good time, and finally him and Kate and Luke are out for a walk, and Luke decides to tell his mom that he wants to drop out of college. And you can kind of tell, like, throughout the movie when she would FaceTime with her son that he was, like, kind of not himself. And I think that was mainly because he was in a college program that his father picked out for him, and he was supposed to take over the family business, or like his father's business or something. He wants to drop out and be a musician instead. And I love this scene so much because she's like, no, you can't do that. You need to go to college. And he's like, okay, but you booked a one-way ticket to Africa and you're happy. And she says, it's totally different. And he's like, it's only different because you waited your entire life to do what you wanted to do. That was like, oh, you hit a home run, dude. Like, yeah, you hit it on point. Like, there's such this weird contrast between, like, people aren't listening to their truth, and so they try to do things in the meantime, and then they end up losing decades of their lives because they're ignoring what's going on, like, inside, and they're ignoring to do the growth that they want to do, or to do the things that they want to do. And sometimes you don't have the circumstances to be able to do what you want to do. But, like, I think it's so beautiful that the son, coming from, like, a millionaire family, is like, I want to pursue music. And then they're like, no, you need to go to college. But him really hitting it home with Kate, his mom, and being like, you look at where you're at now. I don't want to be you. And obviously the parents always know their own mistakes, and they're always like, yeah, I want my kid to do better. And so obviously Kate is like, heck yes, son, I love you so much. Oh, and then Derek goes to talk to her after this conversation, and she wasn't fully at terms with it at this point. She was still upset about it. And so Derek came to talk to her, and she was like all upset, and she's like, oh, I'm terrible company, after telling Derek what was going on. And Derek's like, you're not terrible company. And I had the same reaction when I watched the movie. I was like, you're not terrible company, girl. Like, why? Because you're being honest about something that's going on in your life. Like, that doesn't make you terrible. And that's so flippant often. People do that. Like, I catch myself doing that sometimes. Like, my partner calls me out on it all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a loser. He's like, what? No, you're not. Like, how is this a loser situation? And I'm like, oh, babe, you're so right. And it's so true. And it, like, why is Kate talking, downing herself by being honest about a situation that she's currently dealing with? And she put herself down a few times in the movie. Like, she spent the night with a sick elephant, and then the next morning the elephant got up, and that means that he was healthy again. And then the vet, one of the sanctuary people, came and was like, good job, Kate. And she's like, oh, I did nothing. And, like, technically she didn't do anything, like, you know, with, like, tools or whatever, but she, like, gave emotional support. And elephants are highly intelligent animals, and they're, like, pack animals. They're herds. They live with people, and they bond and live with people. They live with elephants. Well, so I guess some of them live with people. Then they have this weird interaction. I don't really know. They kiss again, I think they kiss. Then there's another night where she goes to talk to Derek at his tent, and he's drawing, and she's like, oh, let me see your drawing, because he's, like, a closet painter, even though he's made out to be this tough guy. He says no, and it's like, okay. As soon as he said no, I was like, oh my God, obviously it's a photo of a drawing of freaking Kate. And sure enough, it was a drawing of Kate. But then Blondie returns again. I don't know where Blondie goes, and I don't know why she arrives at these really weird times. Okay, so my battery died, but I fixed it. Now we're good to go again. Oh wait, the door's open. My partner's across the hall and he's working, so I'm trying to be respectful of noise levels. So Blondie finds the drawing, and she's just like, yo, dude, what the heck is this? Which is valid, because they've been in a relationship for who knows how long. I'd be really confused too. Like, I thought we were, what? He decides to break things off with her. He says, like, it's not working, and Blondie gets really upset. We find out that she's part of, like, the funding committee of the sanctuary, and she decides to cut off the funding for the frickin' elephant sanctuary. And I was like, whoa, girl, that's pretty extreme. They're just elephants, and just because you're upset that he doesn't love you doesn't mean you should, like, cut off the funding for the elephants. That's not even coming from your own pocket. It's coming from some, like, organization or something. We don't know where that money's coming from. But it's not her money, or if it is, like, it's her family's money or something. She didn't need to cut it off. And then he's like, come on, girl, it's just, this is about the elephants. And she's like, not for me. And it's just like, what? So you were just giving money to this elephant sanctuary so you could sleep with Derek, the emotionally constipated guy who can't be honest? Why? Like, and it's just like, it's such a weird situation. Then I'm like, when I was watching the movie, I was like, Kate's gonna come with all the funding. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. She goes back to New York and she's like come back as like this new person. And like her time in Africa was like this awakening process, revivifization kind of situation. And she decides to get her life together. And she's like, okay, I'm going to apply for a vet job. And she like has this like beautiful vet, like not only does she have a resume, but she has like an entire like Africa portfolio. And the guy's like, when can you start? And if I was that dude, I would be in the same position. I'd be like, girl, I want you to start right now. So obviously she gets the job. And then in addition to getting a job, being the vet that she's always meant to be, she convinces her ex-husband to allow their son to go to music school or like get a music degree in there. Like it's the perfect combination. He gets what he wants and he still gets a college degree. And it's like, okay. It's so weird because at the end of that interaction when they like are discussing, the ex-husband is like, did you meet someone? And she's like, yeah. And it's like, dude, why do you care? You broke up with her. You ended your marriage with her. Why do you care if she's with someone else? She's not with Derek yet, but the entire movie is just a build up to them finally being together. Kate goes back to her normal life and then she gets a phone call from one of the sanctuary guys letting Kate know that they don't have funding and that they're not gonna last, or they'll only last until June and then they'll need to shut down or something like that. And then Kate's like, what? And then Kate goes into boss babe mode, super predictable, sells her apartment, she sells all her jewelry, she sells all the things from her marriage and she gets all this money. Like we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. One check was like $180,000, another check was like $150,000, and then like $10,000, $30,000 there. It was just like, yeah, and then she like sent all the money and pause, rewind. I forgot to mention a scene. When Kate was leaving Africa, Derek didn't take her in the plane like he does with everyone. Like how everyone enters and leaves the camp is by Derek flying them in and out. He didn't do that. Instead, someone else like drove her out or something. I'm not too sure. He says, if you'll come back here, I'll be here. It's like, AKA, you are here waiting, hoping she'll come back because you didn't have the guts to tell the truth. And sure enough, there's like scenes where she's in New York and Christmas is over, by the way. There was no jolly Christmas cheer in this movie. It was like, the Christmas section was like a 5 or 10 minute part of the movie. This movie was hardly even Christmas. Whatever. There's like scenes of him in Africa and like every time there's a car pulling up with tourists that he has to fly out into the safari, there's like a moment of hope. He's like looking out at the car or whatever and like hoping it'll be Kate. And it's just like, dude, you should have just been honest. Like, oh my God. Then where they first met in a restaurant where they had met at the beginning of the movie, at the end of the movie, he's there and he has to pick up a person from the bush. And then like he's brought a dish and like the same dish that Kate had on the first night. And he's like, what is this? And he's like, the lady ordered it for you. And sure enough, it was Kate. And then bada boom, bada bing, the elephants were all taken care of. They got funding. Yeah, and then they live happily ever frickin' after. They get married and they are living in Africa doing their thing. It was such a predictable ending, as you guys know. And then Kate needed the self-discovery journey because she lost herself in the relationship. Derek, and she like did a good growth. Like she was just like a predictable growth, helpful, kind person. Like she was pretty stagnant and unexciting. She was very unexciting and I thought the acting was kind of bad. I'm sorry, Charlotte from Sex and the City. Derek was like this really kind of pathetic person in my opinion, like not being able to be honest and not truly bonding with anyone because he was like scared. I mean, there's nothing to be scared of when you're honest with yourself. You just know what you want and what you don't want a bit better and you're able to handle things better. That is that for Holiday in the Wild. Thank you for sticking to the end. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so down below. Thanks guys. I'm gonna see you in the next video.